Yes, hello, and it's a good afternoon in Australia, and it's a good morning to our listeners in the UK. They'll be obviously jumping to daylight saving very shortly. And without further ado, Andrena, of course, is the young lady in the blue outfit there, just sitting right on top of me. And our guest, of course, is just below me, which is usually a very rare situation to be in because I'm normally at the bottom of the totem pole. But since our guest is in the same location as me, it's a bit of bravado on my place to dig a hole and continue digging the hole. Andrena, take it away.
Morning, Jeffrey and Bronwyn, and welcome to Dreaming the New Dream for everybody who's listening today, and especially if you're listening to our replay. So 14th of March today, so we're swiftly moving through March, and I believe Good Friday is on the 29th of this month. It's really early this month. Anyway, today it's my great pleasure to welcome Bronwyn Holm, founder of Earthfood. So welcome, Bronwyn. It's really lovely to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited, actually. I have a story to tell, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity for that.
Well, this is what it's all about, is that everybody's sharing their stories of how they're helping humanity, dreaming the new dream. So I got lots of questions and I'll ask as we go along the way. So my first question would be, how did your early life shape up to who you are now and where you are now?
Right. Well, I'm going to start right back at the very beginning of my lineage here in Australia. So my great-great-grandfather, Eggert Holm, was arrived here in Australia in the mid to late 1800s. He brought his culture with him. So you have a culture for sourdough, you have a culture for yogurt. And he was the head winemaker at Hermitage Estate Wineries here in the famous vineyards in New South Wales. And he used his living microbes in the fields there in the vineyards. Now, back in those days, and even today, if you don't use your microbes within 36, 48 hours, they will die because they've got to live in somewhere. And they don't live in water, they don't live in oxygen, they don't live with chemicals. They can die when they're exposed to sun. So, but that's how it was back then. His great-great-granddaughter, me, working with a soil scientist who was able to take the IP and create the microbe where it's suspended in its own juices or its own environment. And that means then they're put to sleep. And now we have a bottle, which is this one here. And this bottle can last over 10 years.
Really?
Now, yep, on a shelf. And it probably longer. We only started to assess it 10 years ago because we wondered. So what we do is there's a nutrification process in the fermentation, and it's not made with chicken manure like a lot of teas are, which are high in nitrogen. It is made with a culture of microbes that have been made to make this. Now, if you can imagine, it's a bit like kombucha, like you know how we have kombucha for your health, your gut health. It's the same thing. So it's a probiotic for your soil. That's it. And the most wonderful thing about my life was that we've continued to use natural products in growing. I'm actually a child of the Lockyer and Brisbane valleys. So that's a big food bowl and in Australia, and it contributes to the food distribution around Australia. So that was my background. And I can tell you, my grandparents, anything that would hold a bit of dirt It could have been a Milo tin, or a coffee cup, or an old dunny can that my grandfather would have made as a tinsmith in those days. If it could hold dirt, there was something growing in it. Old concrete washing tubs, anything. And they were basically what I would term today pot growers. Interestingly enough, I am a pot grower, and not that I decided to be that. It's just that I don't have the availability of space where I live, and I found that I have neighbours with very tall trees. So I figured I would grow my food in large pots, and I drag them around the backyard to follow the sun. So the winter sun would be different to the summer sun. And sometimes the summer sun would be stingingly hot here in Brisbane, very tropical temperatures, and very, very blasting in the sun, the heat. So I need to drag them into more filtered light. So that's just became a lifestyle for me. So yeah, here we are, and this product now is very special because since the last 10 years, we've spent a lot of time to be able to get the certifications that run along the bottom. Now, I would have to say we would probably be the only company in Australia and possibly the world without that I haven't found one since who has all these certifications. So we have in America, we're USDA, OMRI, CCOF certified, 100% organic. We have Southern Cross here in Australia. We have EcoCert in throughout Europe, and we also have Regenerate and Carbonate. We're part of the Australian standards. We are part of the Trade Organic Association. We're members of so many different groups, and we've got vegan, the International Vegan Association pending right now, because we're not made on chicken manure, so we're perfect for vegans. We're probably the only company that actually has gone out of its way for every single one of those symbols that we have on the logos, on the labels, is at least a 2-year trial. And with that, you're looking at years of work there. It was done purely as a to give farmers commercial confidence, because anyone can do anything these days, and if this is someone's livelihood, they need to be able to be almost guaranteed that it's not going to hurt their fields. A lot of people have products now in the marketplace that are very simple and very, very similar, but they're nowhere near similar. What you'll find, it's either a worm juice, or it's a salty kelp tea, or it's what else would it be? You know, something to do with rock minerals or something like that. They actually don't do anything for the soil. Now, I've got so much to tell you. So the soil, let's look at that. We have had 40 in Australia, and I know it's a lot more. There's $48 billion in products sold from the big ag product cartels around the world. But in Australia, it's 48 billion. And there's 2 major products that is sold. One of them being Roundup, and another one is a brand that is, turned out it's 97% water and 3% seaweed, not even kelp, it's just a seaweed that's been imported from China, mixed with that, plus a little bit of nitrogen. So you've actually got a salty water with a little bit of nitrogen as one product. I won't say the brand. And the other one is Roundup, and that's glyphosate. Both of them designed to kill the microbes. And they're the number one product in everybody's garage in Australia. Now, I know that the same thing's happening in the UK. You have a company over there called Scott's, and they have a product that is very similar. And I have to say to people, it's like you need to read what's on, you need to shop from the back of the labels, not the front. The fronts look great. The marketing is superb. The wording is amazing. And it makes us want to buy these things. And because we don't know any other way, we feel, we need this for our citrus tree. Oh, our lawn's not doing well. We'll need to get some of this. Oh, our soil is rock hard. We have to do something about that. Well, I don't know what's happened to our grass. It's just all disappeared. Oh, we've got so many weeds right now. Don't know what's happening to the garden. We've got so many insects right now. Every leaf is eaten off the grape. Everything, I hear it all the time. I go around and I speak to big gardening clubs every month. I'm talking to somebody. I ask them, how are your insects going in your yard? Oh, terrible, terrible. How's the soil going? Oh, yes, it's very dry. We can be watering it, and then and an hour later it's all dried out, like we hadn't watered it. My thing then leads me to this. It's the products from the cartels that is killing our soil, one backyard at a time. We are at a very serious point. I just heard the other day, fire ants are everywhere, and they're going into places they've never been before. An expert told me they only go into dry, crumbling land. And in my mind, I'm thinking, if we had the living microbe in there, it wouldn't be dry and crumbling. It'd be moist and springy, alive. They couldn't live in it. It has to be dry. So here is a point right now. Every single thing we're adding to our backyard is actually creating the problems that we're thinking that we want to get rid of, that we've actually created. So the difference between all of this is Earthfood is a living microbe. Now, it comes to life when we add it to water. You've got to think of water as a vehicle. So it's the bus. So it's like the bus saying, okay, guys, everybody in, I'm taking you home. Home is in a cellulose cell or in the soil. That's it. That's any places they live. Now, the microbes, when you use them, I prefer to spray the leaves. It's more economical that way. Some people like to put it in a watering can and dribble it along. But I think you can go through too much product that way, particularly if you're not used to monitoring your output. So when you spray it on the leaves have a molecular, cellular change. A healthy leaf is hexagon. A sick leaf is oblong. Guess what? The insects can tell the difference. The insects will only attack the sick and dying. So if I died tonight and they said, oh, put her outside, in the morning I'd be covered in insects because that's their job. They are to clean up the sick and dying. If you've got insects right now and diseases on your plants, they're sick, your soil is sick. There needs to be a change. The microbes will go all through the leaves, down the stems. The whole tissue culture is filled with the living microbe. Goes down into the roots. The roots become dense, thick and strong, and they produce the sugar which feeds the microbes. And by the way, plants like to farm them because if the more microbes they have, the healthier they are. So the sugar feeds the microbes, and then the microbes will give to the plant all the nutrients. Let me tell you how they do it. Mother Nature has been so wonderful to us. Everything we've ever needed exists right now. We've just got to just stop doing what we've been doing, which we have been doing for 80 years. So the microbes will unlock all the nutrients in the soil. It's already in there. You don't have to go and buy another bag of anything to add. And I can say the same for other kinds of farming, like permaculture, for example. A lot of hard work. Save your back, save your money, save your time. So the microbes unlock the nutrients in the soil, and then they make trace minerals and selenium. And then they'll all come up to the top and they'll pull down atmospheric nitrogen. As I'm talking to you right now, I'm actually breathing 78% nitrogen. I'm not breathing whole pure oxygen. It's nitrogen. So the microbes will come up, they'll bring down the nitrogen and the carbon into the soil, and what they call fixation. It fixes it into the soil. And that's how you get carbon sequester. So that actually comes from the atmosphere and it's locked down in there. So the other thing that they do is they make tiny little nano holes all through the soil. It's so that the water can be absorbed into the soil. Now, looking at that picture right there, you can see the soil has a little bit of a crumbly look. It's not hard like clay, and it's not sandy. It's dark chocolate, fertile, living soil. It's not the dark, grey, dried, hard, dusty dirt. Now, the microbes making these tiny little nano holes throughout, they're restructuring the soil so it has water absorption. If you have like hot day, cool night, that's made condensation in your soil, just that fact alone. If you have rain, instead of the rain sitting on 2 inches of your top levels, it actually percolates all the way down deep into the root structure. If it didn't have live microbes, it would be baked hard, or it would be like a slurry. The water would hit the surface, just squeeze itself through by about 2 inches, and it would go down what we call here invisible waterways. It'll just follow a track, a treacle, and off it goes. You won't actually get to keep it or capture it. Now, the microbes have a symbiotic relationship. They put a biofilm over the roots, and all of this activity increases the immunity of the plant. Now, if you saying, well, how does that do that? Well, it's because the plant's roots are dense and strong, and the stem and the leaves have the microbes in it. The oblong shape of being sick changes to the hexagon shape. Guess what? You won't have insects. And because the roots are dense, thick and strong, you won't have weeds because there's no room. Weeds grow where the seed has been dropped, and it takes root and grows. If it can't fit in anywhere, it just won't. You can't get the weeds to grow. What else is there? Oh, there's just so much that needs to be done. That's actually a hydroponic farm that you're looking at there. So people wonder, oh, well, microbes don't live in water. Correct, but they do live in a plant cell. So that there is a pretty good farm as far as you can see, all under tents, bok choy, and hardly a bite mark in those leaves. If it was not done with Earthfood, the leaves sprayed with Earthfood, they would have bite marks all over it. So this is obviously a farm, a commercial farm. They can't afford holes because that'll be rejected by the conglomerates who buy and transport food around Australia. Australia is a very harsh place, as the whole world knows that. We have really harsh summers, and in some parts we have extremely cold, frosty nights, like where we grow apples in the Stanthorpe regions. We've got very, very desert-like. Once you've gone from the coastal region and the woodlands, then it's just desert and very dry, crusty land that you walk on. Everything's crispy, you know, the sound of leaves crunching under your feet, all the grasses are all crunchy and dead. So, and that's because it's a very tired and ancient land. I have a farmer west of Alice Springs. Now, everybody knows about the old Ayers Rock. He lives west of Alice Springs there, near the rock, and he's been trying to grow food there for a long time. He heard me talk on a Zoom TV show and he ordered a carton of 10. He told me what he was doing and I said, just follow this exactly as I tell you. So I said, number one, you're going to have to rehab the soil. How do you do that? This is easy. You're going to mark off the area that you want to grow your food. You're going to water it. Best to do this in the late evening. So he would water that whole patch, and then he sprayed Earthfood over that whole patch, and he had to cover the patch with 100 ml of sugarcane mulch. You could use anything. You could use, you know, bark chip or wood chip or, you know, anything. And it could just be like a whole bunch of some kind of land like a land, we have lantana is what we're called here, but you might have in England you might have something that you can just chop up, like it could be the end of a crop and you've just got all of this debris. You can use that. It doesn't matter. The point of the matter is the soil must be covered. So he did that. 4 months later, he phones me and he says to me, I just can't believe my eyes. We've pulled back some of the hay. The soil went from red, dusty dirt to chocolate brown living soil.
Wow.
He said, I've never seen that ever, ever. He said, I'm sure this is the first time. And I said, well, actually, no. We've grown food in an agroforest in the desert. We know how to do it. And it's simply putting back the microbes, what is Mother Nature's repair toolkit. And look, these guys, they can clean up mining sites. They can clean up, we have a river out here. It's just a little stream at the back of where our dispatch centre is. And it used to be, we're kind of like in a semi-industrial area here. And it was filled with car bodies. There was oil, shopping trolleys, push bikes, you know, the old, you know, yucky stuff. The council took all the hardware out and some people tried to clean things up. They used all their chemicals but nothing kind of grew. I went in there one morning. I just got in. I had a backpack, 20 litres on my back. I put in a couple of these. And I just went for a walk along the little stream. I just sprayed everything. 4 months later, that whole region was cleaned up. The water was clean. They turned into a haven for butterflies and birds, crickets, frogs, and things were starting to flower. I went back, I don't know, about 6 months later, and I started a little project on the side with a forever garden. So is that Slicks Creek? You'll see it's the Moss Street Creek. Yeah. So that little creek, yeah. So where you had the little, so you can see the little brown dot. So it's like it runs along the back of our property a little bit there. Can you see the creek? Yeah. So it's too bad you can't get down and see the little forever garden, because we planted it with food that keeps growing even after it's been harvested. It just keeps having another cycle. So this project I set up under the Food is Free project. So anyone who's can't find food, like, you know, we have a lot of people right now struggling with food in Australia, and I think you do too in Europe and the UK. They can go there and they can get food. They can actually pick and eat. I know some people actually go down there and pick and try and sell. I don't care. You know, it doesn't matter. Good luck to you. It's a forever garden. It'll come back, you know. And I think there are people who actually go down there and contribute to it. They'll actually spend time, you know, tidying up the vines or whatever, or cleaning something up, or putting more, chopping up some dead leaves and make the soil cover thicker again. I haven't been down there for a while. It's probably one of my projects. I might have to do a video on that. But anyway, in the meantime, just let me know, Jeff, I did send you a 5-minute video of a farmer west of Gympie. Now, this is dead dry country. It's a wonder he grows anything at all. His name is Adam Jones, and he has a farm called Fig Tree Organic Farms. He is one of the syndicated farmers who only use Earthfood to grow wholly and solely organic produce, which is sold in the tourist destinations markets in on the Sunshine Coast, which is a tourist, as I said, tourist destination. The whole area is. And he went from a conventional farm site to what we call biological botanical growing, and he only uses Earthfood, and he's certified. So I'm going to be quiet while you listen to this, if you can do that.
Are you going to put the sound on, or is there no sound?
There's sound.
Can't hardly hear it, Jeff.
Hang on, can't you hear the sound?
No. Very, very faint.
I'll turn it up. Hang on.
But while you do that, I'll just say some things about it. So I want you to pay particular attention to the ground. When there's a drone shot, look at the dam. There's only a little bit of a trickle in it. There's hardly anything in it. And I want you to hear the part where he talks about the pumpkins and the eggplants. So over to you, Jeff.
Yeah, I can't hardly hear it.
No, I can't hear it. So basically what we're talking about there is the condition of his farm when he first moved there about 10 years ago. It used to rain so much that the water used to come. He used to have salmon that would come down his fields. It was so full that fish would come down his fields and into the dam and out down further, overflow the dam and into the river below. And he thought, this land is drying out. And he says, whether it's man-made or not, it doesn't matter to him. It's happening anyway. The land is drying out, and this is what's happening. And he was saying that he used my microbes, and he was showing that you can see the field where he used Earthfood, and then you could see the fields where they haven't used Earthfood. obviously where Earthfood was, it was bright green, and I think you saw a little shot of it there for a second.
Can you play it again, Jeff? And maybe Bronwyn can talk as it goes along.
Yeah. So this is west of Gympie.
The rains are very reliable.
We've got sound.
And the dams would overflow to the point that you could boogie board it from the main stream coming out of them. Fish would swim across our paddocks.
Wow.
We catch them with nets sometimes. But each year that's gone, it's got slightly warmer. So the earth's getting hotter and drier. This farm's drying out, there's no doubt.
One of the things that I read just recently is in 2019, the United Nations declared that we only had 1 generation time frame left of farmable land on the planet.
Yeah. Thankfully, the earth is pretty incredible. It can rebound if we create the conditions for it. This whole system is designed to feed itself. And I've sprayed all of your microbes all over this. That's why it's looking so green.
Yes.
And look at the rest of it. You see the difference?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You see here, I've got irrigation going under there.
Yeah.
Put your hand in there. What did it tell me?
Oh my God, it's dripping.
Yeah.
It's like you just hosed it.
Yeah. So
And you haven't.
That might have been a week ago that we put them on. So it's still wet, isn't it?
It is absolutely. It just feels like you've just hosed it.
Yeah.
A lot of the weeds have medicines.
They do.
You can actually eat a lot of them.
They do. Well, that's a good point. And a lot of reason farmers are hooked on Roundup is that they think their fields have to be perfectly clean, and they're scared that weeds will compete with their produce or their trees. There was a study by a Canadian scientist who found that natural forests communicate with each other and actually trade nutrients. What these weeds are doing is helping cycle minerals in the soil. So I might cut them once a year when I lay hay down, but I let these weeds go because they're encouraging life under that mulch there. If you deleted them all, there's nothing going on. And so these little plants, some of these weeds I've knocked back, dozens of times, and they just keep growing back. That's exactly what I want, because it's mimicking a natural system. Nature is far more clever than we will ever know.
We've had third-party testing, in major universities around the world. And what they come back with is you got 40% more protein per above ground green leaf. There's 40% more growth, more yield to the crop, or lush in a plant, or size in a flower. It's just, they seem to almost half again.
Yeah.
70% saving on water if used regularly. And of course, it's 100% made in Australia with love. What we've noticed time and time again is customers coming back to us, telling us that since they've used Earthfood for such a short time, or used the microbes, they've found that the soil is springier. You can actually put your hand on it and they actually spring. So there's a spring in it. There's give in it. Whereas without the microbes, it's rock hard.
Tilled soil bakes hard.
Yeah.
That's exactly true. They aerate the soil, they encourage root and fungal growth, and water penetration. And you're mimicking a forest, really. And have you ever seen anyone fertilise or irrigate a forest? We've never sprayed a chemical on this farm in 8 years. And yet we're quite able to produce very nice produce, as you can see. Nothing wrong with it. And in fact, there's very little bug damage there. there are other guys that are spraying it like Vietnam. So if I can do it, why can't everybody do it? It's just once you've inoculated it and it's, it becomes self-sufficient. And the work and the labour and the inputs and the costs just go down and down and down every year it goes on. But the return that you get from a system like that just keeps increasing with the maturity of the plants. And nature is far more clever than we will ever know.
Right. So I just wanted to point out, when I was walking there through the rows, we had the banana trees and the papaya trees. The banana trees were to my knees and the papaya trees were to my ankles. As he said, they were in the grasses that you couldn't see them. We went back 9 months later after that footage to try and get a follow-up set of footage, which is on our YouTube channel, Your Earthfood. All our socials are Your Earthfood. And the plant became a tree 2 meters above my head with a full crop ready for harvest. That's in 9 months. For those of you who understand growing bananas, you know perfectly well it takes 18 months. He had a pumpkin vine there, and normally you get a pumpkin vine, and in his past he would get 2 to 3 wheelbarrows full of the pumpkin for his weekend markets. After using Earthfood, he had 4 cycles of growth and 2.5 tons in the 1 year. He had eggplant there. Eggplant will finish a harvest in 4 months. His went for 12 months and there was no end to it, and it was an astounding, he said the fields were astounding. So you only got the 5-minute one. There is actually a 15-minute version of this on our website, yourearthfood.com. And it's really worthwhile having a look at it. The 15-minute one, it gives you a very clear understanding that things need to be different. As living occupants on this planet, we actually owe it to Mother Earth we need to atone for our sins. Sorry, folks. We have been hoodwinked by the cartels and the big ag. The agronomists and the horticulturists have been paid and bought for. And if they go to university, the universities are owned by these companies as well. So every one of our trials that we do is 2 years, mostly with the university. When a trial was done in Panama University, the team were ordered off the fields halfway through. No one would explain why. It was then discovered that Monsanto owned the university. Now, this is not uncommon. They know perfectly well, you put microbes back in the soil, you will never need anything from their business model of repeat sales. They know perfectly well. And they don't want this in the space. I probably will never be able to sell this product in their preferred suppliers' stores. While these chemicals and products are being sold, we are getting sicker and tighter as a humanity. You have to ask yourself, what did your food eat to become food? A structure of biomass with a vibration and a frequency is called a food. It has a medicine quality. And, you know, Mother Nature gave us this. God, whatever your higher self thing is, everything we have is right here, right now. We have done a mighty job to make sure that's been damaged and nearly destroyed. If I'm sounding a little bit, dramatic, I apologize for that. But you know what? I have been in the field of natural history education for 40 years. I was, my first job was National Geographic and Smithsonian Institute, and I came back creative director of National Parks and Wildlife Service. All my friends have been scientists. They used to tell me years and years ago that there were troubles coming. They and the things that they talked about, that's exactly what we've got. We've got plagues of insects. We're sick and tired. Going back to the question, what did your food eat? Did you have oats for breakfast? Did you have something that came out of a box this morning? Did you have some toast for breakfast? And what did you have? I can guarantee it must have probably had a grain attached to it. The grain is, you're being microdosed glyphosate every single day. It is affecting our nervous system. It is affecting our brains. 10,000 kids, only a few decades ago, 1 in 10,000 would have some kind of brain problem, like an ADH or some kind of autism. Now it's 1 in 34 in America right now. And that's just a stat. We're actually becoming a sick and tired humanity because we're eating food that has been made on chemicals, and if it's not, it's been made on versions of manures. Now, you're going to have to think about this, folks, because there is this whole new research that's just been unpacked recently, and it's talking about the nanoparasites in food. The nanoparasites are as small as a grain of a fibre of your DNA. Now, I even saw today, and I wished I could have kept it to give to you, Jeff, because it was, those cheap noodles that you can buy, that people students might live on them. They actually had a microscope that went down many, many layers of magnification, and they could see things crawling all over it. And I just thought, yep, and we just put boiling water on. Hopefully that kills them, I don't know. And then we put sprinkle these high neurotoxin, exotoxins, they're called, sprinkled all over it to give it flavour. And they've got trans fats, oils in the mix as well. And it's just poison. So we've got food that looks like food, tastes like food, but it's actually poison. And that's just in the packet. If you're actually buying real food, frozen food, and it has been grown in manure, you're eating things that do not belong in your body. And the parasites are in our brains, their eyes, our lungs. They're in our tongue. They're in every part of us. And now the new science is these parasites group together and create colonies, and that's the beginning of cancer. There is a new school of thought that treating cancer the way we have I'm probably stepping on people's toes. I apologise. I'm just passing on the information that we are getting a lot of lately. We have people out there who send us material because they know that we are here to educate and help humanity. With our hand on our hearts, we want the change because we can't keep doing this. These parasite colonies can be gotten rid of with very simple products that have been banned in a lot of countries. Why is that? You have to ask yourself. I don't know. So I actually healed myself. I had a little cancer episode, and they wanted to have surgery, and I didn't take it. I actually went down a pathway of ivermectin and Fenben, and that didn't take any time at all, and it was I was in remission very quickly. They wanted to know what I did. I mean, there was a whole protocol. It started off with that, and then just things using clove and oregano oil, and these things I have still to this day. I give myself a break and I just go on it because I know the food I'm eating. If I go out to a restaurant, I know it's food that's come out of places that have parasites in it, so I just clean that up straight away. The food we eat from our home and from the farm and our organic farmers using Earthfood, that's a probiotic. The living microbes on that is the very thing we need for our gut and brain health. Plus, anyone who's used Earthfood will notice that the leaves and the plants are all perky. They stand upright. As a keynote speaker here in Australia in the hemp and regenerative agricultural conferences that we had these conferences because farmers would go out and they'd find that their crops were just lying over the ground, or sugarcane farmers would just find things lying on the ground. There was no perk, no standing to attention as plants should be. In the conference, we had all kinds of things that were spoken about, all these things that were to do with adding things. You need more NPK, you need trace minerals, you need rock minerals from Vietnam, you need this, you need this, you need this. I get up and I say, guys, I'm sorry, less is more. Stop it. Stop it. Put the microbes back in the soil. Let Mother Nature do all the heavy work for you, which is what some have done. Now, they get 40% more in their yield just because they stopped doing what they were told to do by the big ag representatives. So going back to the probiotic microbes, when I leave my house of a morning, I will go down the back stairs and I eat the food down the driveway off the vine. I don't even wash it because I know there's microbes all over it. And I'll just pick some Tom Thumb tomatoes and have a couple of rolls of lettuce and whatever's there. I just have a couple of strawberries, whatever's there. I just pick my way all the way down to my car, put the keys in the door, still munching away, drive to work. I'm only 2 minutes away. But that's the thing. And the microbes will produce trace minerals and selenium. Now, if you talk to a lifestyle doctor, if there are any left right now, see the perkiness in that leaf. It's standing up. You don't get that in a shop. So this lifestyle...
We get limp lettuces over here.
Yeah, well, it's because they're not grown with living microbes. There is such a big difference, I can tell you. If you were growing lettuces, your leaves will be up like this. The other thing is that Big Ag says, oh, you need to actually plant them apart by, 20 centimetres, right? I say to them, no, bring them in closer, because if you've got outer leaves that are dying, it brings those insects, because what do insects do? Clean up the dead and dying. If you've got them closer, they don't go inside, they go on the outside. If you look at where they attack lettuces and those cabbages and things like that, it's on the outside. Bring them in closer. So that also helps to protect. So the trace minerals and the selenium are the foundation of human health. Did you know that?
Yep.
The foundation of our immunity is in trace minerals and selenium. And the two biggest things we don't have, we've got a shortage of, and why people are sick and tired, are those things. There is something missing in our diet. Those microgreens, they are done. I have a farmer who just makes microgreens and he just sells to all the health food shops. They grow in 3 to 5 days on Earthfood. Normally it takes 10 to 14 days. So he's actually tripled his money by converting his crop to medium, and he doesn't get any mold. It's all clean and neat, and it's nutrient dense. All food grown with Earthfood is so nutrient dense, it's impossible to miss the taste. The taste is unbelievable. And I'm not saying this just to make this into a big sales pitch. I don't have to. You just have to try it and you will know. It is amazing. And the microbes, the way they repair the soil and provide for Mother Nature is beyond your imagination until you actually witness it. Everyone I've ever known who has an investment of land, whether it's a piece of property and their front yard is dying with lawn grubs, or whether it's, you know, a pot grower, you know, and indoor plants, cactus. Some people just have this fantasy about having a whole big table at the back veranda and it's all covered in cactus. That's fine. It's all about giving the plant what it needs. Now, when you are in a field or in Mother Nature, in a rainforest, there is always a mother tree. A mother tree will notice that, you know, Margaret the myrtle down yonder is not well, and will send a message out through the mycelium network, which is the fungi, and that's what this brings to. So you will have the mycelium network under your feet, and then Margaret will get the extra manganese or whatever's missing, and then she will be not so poorly and she will pick up, and then the mother tree just looks after all the plants on her watch. Wherever this mycelium network goes, that's her babies. When you grow in pots, you're the mother tree. You have to do all that caring, and you don't have to do much when you're using living microbes. The microbes are the carers. All you have to do is make sure that the microbes are in your soil for living soil, and then you feel the water, the soil, to make sure it's moist. If it's moist, leave it alone. If it's drying out, give it a drink. You don't need to drown it, because Adam Jones, west of Gympie, in that very harsh environment, is watering 1 cup of water every 2 meters every 2 weeks. And you saw my face. That's a genuine thing, and that was not acting. He said, put your hand in there. I put my hand in there, and I went, oh my gosh, it's like you just iced it, you know. And it's because that's what it was like. It was dripping wet, and he hadn't watered it for a week. So I find that it's just amazing to hear these stories and to listen to everybody's, you know, their successes. And, you know, back in 1903, there was a guy called Andre Voisin, and he actually came from France, and he spent some time studying soil. He wrote a book called Soil, Grass and Cancer, and he started saying, he was the canary in the mine back then, that the chemicals that we were using, starting to use, which were at the end of World War I and II and Vietnam, which that's Roundup, glyphosate, that's Agent Orange, and World War I is fertiliser is made from bomb material. I forgot the name of it. Anyway, he was the one saying that there is a correlation between soil and grass and cancer, that the grass and the things coming out of the soil is carrying toxins and the chemicals, and that is actually going to breed cancer. There's a whole book on it. He talked about the balance that was required, and the potassium chloride and nitrate of calcium in the fertilisers into grasslands. Sulphur was admitted, and he said that there was a risk for some years that the deficiency of the sulphur over time would prevent plants from producing sulphur containing amino acids, and the health of the animals will suffer accordingly, because the animals are eating the grass. We eat the animals. And this book that was published in the 90s, I think Amazon had a copy of only highlights of the book for $1,800. That wasn't even the book. I asked a friend of mine who deals in antique books. I said, can you find me this book? He found one in our own library, not far from where I live.
Really?
I think it must be the only one in the world, because he couldn't find one anywhere. And it's in my possession right now. Don't want to give it back.
I bet.
And it is stunning reading, because it's talking about the beginnings of all the things that we're experiencing now, this was the start of it in 1940s. And this man was telling us, warning us back then, and we totally ignored. Here's another story. And the reason why I'm pumping all this out is because I have volumes of it. The Great Barrier Reef, you know, is a heritage, natural, what do you call it? It's a natural
Wonder of the world.
Wonder of the world.
Yeah, wonder of the world. Thank you, Jeff. And you have reef around Okinawa and reef around Fiji and some of those places, and they're all dying. Now, just on the TV today, they're saying, oh, you know, it's climate change and the heat is killing everything. And the first thing I say is, no, it's not. Nothing to do with that. I'll tell you what it's about. And this is because of the hoodwinking that we get. So every single thing we're getting right now, whether it's our food, whether it's what we use on the soil, and the stories that they tell us. So this is what's happening. I know for a fact, I have knocked on doors of the government organisations who are in charge of looking after what is dispensed onto sugarcane farms. Now, sugarcane farms run down the east coast of Queensland, exactly where the Great Barrier Reef is. It's the same with Fiji, big sugarcane farms. It's the same in Okinawa. Now, here's a little bit of biology for you. When you use high levels of nitrogen, it's forcing the plant to grow well. What happens is it's like putting Jeff on steroids, and Jeff goes to the gym. He's going to look amazing, and but he'll need more. He'll start off with 1 year, only need a little bit. Next year, he'll need a lot more, and the year after that, he'll need a lot more, and probably the year after that, he'll probably keel over and have a heart attack and die. So that's pretty much what happens to our plants. So when you go to a store or a nursery, you buy a plant that's been forced input. And that makes the plant look good, makes the plant look pretty, but it does nothing for the roots and nothing for the structure or the immunity. When you have sugarcane, they feed it to that because it makes the plants look good. That means they've got lots of stalk. They shot up, so you've got lots of stalk. It's the same with corn, got lots of stalk, but hardly any quality. Now, when that happens and the ground is covered in nitrogen and glyphosate and herbicides, they sit in the top 200 mil of the land. As soon as you get the big Queensland downpour of rain, and the same in Vietnam and Thailand and Fiji and Okinawa, you know, we get the tropical rains. Down it comes. It washes, it goes down into that soil, that level of soil, and it washes the nitrogen out into the waterways, into where the low-lying reefs are. Now, I know people who have worked for the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority, that's called Gurumpa. Remember, I know my scientist friends, and he wrote some very serious papers. The papers he wrote about was that living microbes on reefs restores reef. Do you think they're doing that? Do you think they're interested in doing that? His papers have been pulled down. His papers are not to be published. And he wrote 600 of them.
Wow.
And no one's listening. They'd rather talk about climate change, warm waters, bleached coral. And this is the sort of stuff we have to stop. That's why I'm saying, please, 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 people, we've only got one generation of living soil on the whole planet right now. It's not going to be our problem. We'll be dead in a box. You know, I'm already 64, you know. It's not us. It's our kids and our grandkids. And right now, Gatesy Boy is got this, you know about seed clouding, for weather control and changing. Every country has it. You can see it on social media. And you just have to go to the government websites, put in cloud seeding, and there'll be a whole massive section on it. We have one we've got here in our government, and our state governments all got theirs. So this cloud seeding and lots of other things. Actually, if you really want to see what's going on, you can go to my personal page, Bronwyn Holm, and just scroll down a little bit, and you will find a post. It's a video post, and it's real time. This guy on TV, on his monitor, was pointing out all these different chemicals that are being put out there for all these different kinds of diseases. We're all being atmospherically inoculated by. Stuff you'd never think about is all in there, and that's what's being sprayed right now. This is a real-time, real contactivity information. You would have it over there. It's not new. The biggest thing that's out there is aluminium powder and the chemicals that they're using. Now, microbes will clean that up off your food. That's their job. Remember, they are there to repair things. That's number one. Number two, because we've got the aluminium dust in the stratosphere, that's actually making the sun biting, stinging hot. It's like someone's put a magnifying glass over us. And that affects plants. It affects your microbes. So we need to get these into the soil to give the plants a better chance of surviving that. It's called, the scientists are calling it now, and you can look this up, it's called Venusification. Venus, the planet Venus. That what's happening right now, if we don't take a stand and put the microbes in the soil and protect the plants, we're going to be like Venus. Have you seen those movies about the future where it's too hot, they can't even go outside, and they lock themselves in these very dark, dingy, cage-like places, and they're all grubby and dirty because there is no water, and they eat, I don't know what they eat, but in those movies, I'm sure you've seen them. That's kind of like a desensitizing kind of visual to give us a clue what to look forward to, I guess. I don't know. But I just need to say to everyone, tell everyone, put the microbes back in your soil, and you will have better crops, you'll have better health. If you're an indoor plant person, let me tell you, living soil with peace lilies, bamboo, spider plants, they will, and others, there's heaps of them, they will give you, with the living soil in a pot in your bedroom, will give you 40% more oxygen at night in your sleep. Just that alone. Did you know a microbe will hold a frequency of 7 to 12 hertz? That's the same as a crystal, right? So I've got shungite on tonight, and that would be like I've got shungite all over my backyard. Can you imagine what the frequency of that is? Now, like attracts like. The frequency of the microbes in the ground is the same as the bee's wing when it's making honey. It makes that part where it's antibacterial. That's why honey is an antibacterial, and it doesn't grow bacteria in it. So like attracts like. So we had so many bees in our backyard, we actually got a beehive now. And the beehive, I just said to someone today, look at our beehive, we've got so many bees. They're all out there, like it's called beading, like a beard, and they're all hanging off like a massive big bit all out the door. And I said, we've got to do something about that. I just noticed it tonight. So that's because they've grown so quickly. And we've had the most terrible weather in the last February. Was just disgusting. Heat, muggy. I felt like I was living in some, tropical island. The air was so thick of moisture. It was like 90% humidity. It was like walking around and everything's wet. So that, and the poor bees had to be making sure that their bees were humming and cleaning and keeping that hive cool for the queen. But the frequency of the earth food and the frequency of the bees creates a different frequency in your backyard. It's the same frequency as like church bells used to be, when we had church bells, or a pipe organ, or the just sound bowls, the Tibetan sound bowls. It's the same. It's a healing frequency. Can you imagine if every backyard just put one of these bottles and sprayed it and allowed the mycelium network to take over their backyard, that would connect to the next door, to the next door, to the next door, to the back, to the front, to the footpath, everywhere? We would be able to raise the frequency of the outer layer of the earth if we could. If I was a wealthy woman, I'd be hiring drones and spraying this all over parklands, everywhere. And the rainforest. We call this Earthfood rainforest in a bottle. And the reason why we call it that is because it's the same microbes you'd find in the floor of a rainforest. Now, when people say, oh no, we just use kelp tea, or we use NPK, nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, different versions of it from whichever company that makes it. And I say to people, well, have you ever had to put a herbicide or an insecticide or high levels of nitrogen or kelp tea or minerals in a rainforest to make it grow magnificently? The answer is no. You leave it alone. Mother Nature does perfectly well without your interference. And the microbes are real. They're the ones doing all the work. You're in a rainforest. It's cool, sweet smell. And it's the same with healthy soil. It's cool to touch, sweet to smell, and it's crumbly. So when you have living soil, you can pick it up and you can rub it in your hands and you can shake your hands and look at your hands, and it's not dusty, it's not muddy or sticky, it's clean. That's good soil. So, folks, and Andrena and Jeff, thank you for having me. I'm here to answer any questions. If anybody wants to write to me at inquiries@yourearthfood.com. I'm here of service to humanity. That's my job. That's what I was destined to do. I didn't sign up for this, but somehow I got sucked into it, and we just can't let this go anymore. We've got one generation left to turn the tide on this, and if we don't, you won't be eating food. The farmers are having problems growing food because the ground is so sick and so bad that you will be eating crickets at your next meal, and you will be having things like lab meat made burgers made from things that shouldn't go into your body. As I said, looks like food, tastes like food, but it's actually poison. I can tell you how they make those burgers if you like, but
we know.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. Well, I'm not talking to beginners here. I'm sure there's a lot of people here who understand what I'm on about. And that's our future. And right now, Bill Gates has just released two things that frighten me the most. And one of them is a product called Appeal, APEEL, for those of you who don't know. It's going to be sprayed on all produce to make, and Smart Fresh is another one, going to be sprayed on all produce to make it look as good as the day it was picked 2 years later without refrigeration. Now, for it to happen, if you ever go onto Appeal, look up the safety data sheet for it online, and you will see words there that longer than supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. I kid you not, I couldn't even pronounce half of them. They are so long and so full of chemicals. They are like worse than industrial cleaners. In fact, they are industrial cleaners. Go figure. Why would you put that on food? Property farms are being bought up. The opportunity to grow food is changing. I just can't stress it enough that where we're headed is not pretty. I'm probably one of the few people who are talking this way, and I know there's lots out there who will teach you how to do permaculture, how to do this, how to do that, how to make worm juice. But what you really need is aeration in the soil, not anaerobic. So an aerobic outcome means that the soil is it stays the same. Like, so you've just used a tonifier, not a fertilizer. A tonifier, remember, makes plants look pretty but does nothing for the roots in the soil. A bio-fertiliser with microbes repairs the soil, gives the plants optimum immunity, and makes the plants dense, thick and strong, perky, healthy, nutrient rich. So I'm trying to pull out all my last things. I just want you guys to go away and just be armed with the most things you need to know. We could be here all night talking about the designs of those who actually don't get what it's like to be sovereign and take care of our land, take care of our own square metre on which we stand. It's up to us. If it is to be, it's up to me. And you've got to be part of the groundswell revolution of change for this. This is so, so important. Mother Nature is marvellous when you just get out of the way and allow her to do her magic. Anyway, I've talked the leg off an iron pot with a mouthful of gravel tonight, and I apologise for that.
No apologies accepted. Well, you've certainly educated me. Excuse me. And I know you're doing a lot for communities, aren't you? Giving back. People are all growing produce, and I mean, are you finding with people noticing in such a difference in their fields and their plants and their gardens that they're spreading the word now? Is that at grassroots level, so to speak?
Yes, there is a groundswell revolution of smaller, I call them homesteaders here. So they've just taken on like 10 acres or even 5 acres and out in the country. They're getting away from the 5G. They're getting away from the city because the chemtrails are the most over the cities. And they're taking their land and they're taking their responsibility for their lives and the wellness and their own happiness. They're taking that in hand. Now, they'll probably start with a small crop. We call them cash crops here. So what it means is they could probably grow a few rows of produce that you can sell at the markets, for example. Because people who can't grow food, who live in apartments, will go to these markets and buy that produce. Now, these homesteaders won't have like heaps of food because they're only like small, but they make enough for themselves, enough for family and friends, and they'll do enough to do exchanges of produce. And then they'll have some left over, and it might be a couple of wheelbarrows of mangoes, right? So they'll take that to the market, so they'll flog it off, and they'll get the money for that, and that will go towards something else that they can use it for the farm. Maybe go and buy some more chickens or something. I am a contributor to the Mini Farm project here in Logan Home, which is where they grow food for people in need, and This is a charity farm that has volunteers from the city that come and they do work on there every weekend. Some come during the week. It's just really good for your soul to be able to work with the land, and you're not listening to traffic passing by your place. It's like, it's so quiet. You hear birds. If you ever see my Instagram page, Earthfood, your Earthfood Instagram, we have a lot of things like that in there. And the people, it's like a haven. It's an oasis from the world when you're in your moment, planting or putting down hay or manipulating, gathering, harvesting or collecting seeds. It's really where you become one with nature, and it's just a spiritual thing, I think. And particularly if you're using living microbes, there's something about the land and the produce that you're handling, there's a reverence that comes from it, and also a respect for self. And it's a mental mindfulness thing as well. Oh, yeah. So the Mini Farm Project is a charity that makes food for community kitchens, which is then cooked and provided for those. We have a lot of homelessness here. We're in some parts of Brisbane, it's almost like tent city, and I know it's the same in probably every major city in the world right now. Yeah, I want to tell you, if you went into a hardware store and you took a product off of the shelf and you did this, would you be game? No.
No,
But
definitely not.
But you can do that with Earthfood. I just breathed in the Mycelium vaccae. That's the natural antidepressant. So working with microbes not only helps Mother Nature, it helps you. Your health improves. You get better sleeping. You get better mental. It works in your brain. This bacteria passes through the gut and brain. Blood and brain barrier. That's what you need. You know, it repairs your guts when you eat the food. If your guts are healthy, your brain is healthy. Your skin is healthy. It's anti-aging. But besides all of that, there's a calmness to it all. You just have to be in the space. When I used to, years ago, I used to hand bottle this right back in the startup phase, and I would be hand bottling all weekend, all Saturday night. I don't have a life, you see. And the smell, people would be walking past the dispatch centre and they'd say, "Oh my God, what's that smell?" Because it's raw, like it's straight out of the big vats, so it hasn't had a chance to dissipate. And they'd say, "Oh no, I can't even tell the difference." And people, by the time they'd sort of like stayed there for 2 minutes, they just felt really relaxed. In fact, we had to put a lounge suite in to our conference room because people just like to hang out and just relax and
I'm not
talk
surprised.
and have a cup of tea, love, you know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
So
that was-
I know you're not. It's not currently in the UK yet, but we're looking into that. So do you ship?
Oh yeah, I would love it to be in the UK. You guys need it so much.
Oh, you're not kidding. Yeah. I tell you what, since I came back from Australia, I mean, I used to eat the mangoes and they'd be dripping down my face. And then when I came back, I've been back 4 years now, and I bought them in various places, and God, they've been like bullets. They've been bloody awful things. They're horrible. And I've even thought, well, if I try frozen, and I've tried frozen packs, but oh God, there's no taste. And like tomatoes, in some of the stores, or you know, like in some places in Totnes and Devon, they've got a beautiful shops, and the color and the smell, you know, you can, like, I always, if I'm in a supermarket, I always pick up a tomato and smell it, and if it's got no smell to it, and like a lot of them got no smell, they got no taste, and and we know everything's changing. We know we're on the tip of changing things to get the right food.
Yeah.
Like you say, food is our medicine. It was all put on the earth for us.
Yeah.
So so do you ship all around the world, or are you in the markets in Australia?
We have
There was a message.
Yeah. So we can ramp up our vats. Currently, we can do 1 million litres a month, and we can do up to 1 million litres a week, and we can even increase on that. In fact, if we had a country where we knew there was a serious situation that there was going to be a distributor or a supply channel set up, we would actually make a factory there to start. So we didn't have to do shipping. We sell 24 containers, 24 IBCs in a container that we would ship out, or 48,000 bottles on pallets would be shipped out. I think the best way would be the bottles, because that means if you're in a house or an apartment or a flat, you would be able to have one of these. And I heard that in the UK there are people starving there, and the food is just not. There's some areas there's just no food in the shops, and it's very poor quality food at that. And they're turning their second bedrooms into food stations, growing food under halo lights. And look, honestly, the health would increase on people so much if they just had living microbes in their soil. And I heard too, we have a farmer who in Bordeaux who uses Earthfood there. We ship to him, and he was saying because the Ukraine, there's a lot of grain missing across Europe because of Ukraine, and because China's put a glut of wine out across the world, the vineyards across Bordeaux are being ripped up, and they're growing things like wheat. And the problem is the soil is so contaminated with all the things that they used to grow vines previously, because they have high levels of copper sulfate, high levels of herbicides because they don't like the weeds, etc., etc. And the soils are really harsh now. And I'm saying, oh, please, somebody send this product, take this product into France. You'd have the best crop. You could be the next Ukraine on the planet. You could be the food bowl. It just doesn't take much. It's just so hard to reach the people who make all the decisions. If only they knew.
Yeah.
So I'm really putting it out there.
They know all right, but it's been an absolutely amazing show, and I've loved listening to you every minute. I mean, I currently live on the farm, so I can't grow or anything because of the animals, and I so miss that. And I'm looking forward to manifesting a nice little home with a garden for myself. So what was I going to say? But we'll share this far and wide for people to follow up, to listen, and then they can get in contact. Obviously, you do talks and all sorts of things. So, I mean, you've got a fantastic mission. It's absolutely wonderful.
Thanks, Adriana. We do have an international harmony code, which means this is accepted in any country around the world that respects the harmony code. That's most of them. We'll do whatever it takes to make this work, because as I said, we're at the tipping point, and Mother Nature needs our help. We need to help each other.
And we know
that absolutely vital right now.
Like you said about the crickets, we know crickets are already in food packets under different names and all sorts of things. But,
yes.
It's about seeing crickets in the garden, not chopped up in food packets.
That's right.
And other things I mean, like I said, I spoke to you, and I said I bought some oranges, and what was on the label, I couldn't even spell it. I wouldn't know where to start. These long names, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm not buying them.
Well, there's actually there's a kid's lolly being sold in Germany, and it's made with insects already. And I know, and I just recently I came across I just lost my track. We were just talking about something then, and it's just that there's so much change in what we grew up with food and what food is now. And you know, I was talking to a chef here in Brisbane, and we were going to do an event together. I was going to show people how to grow. He was going to show people how to cook. And I said, "Oh, show people how to cook." I thought, well, okay, that's a bit odd. Turns out, he says, you'd be surprised how many people don't know how to cook. I said, really? I was dumbfounded, and he starts telling me how he teaches people to cook.
That surprised me.
I think something's gone wrong.
Yeah, schools don't teach all these things anymore, do they? I mean, I don't know what they teach, but it's not for the highest good of each individual, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're going to have you back another time to carry on this conversation, because it's just been amazing, eh, Jeff?
100%. So I'll be knocking on Bronwyn's door. I'm going to go down there for a sniff and get the purity of that. I'm going to go and put my hand up for the cardboard box of organic produce. We're talking off air.
Oh yeah, so that's I can give you the details for that. That's it's the Logan Buyers Club. Yep. So I'm also part of the Logan Buyers Club, and that's a group of people put together by a single mum who decided she wanted to have organic food, and it's a group of people who work with farms around our local district, and they buy wholesale as a community, and they will buy products like medicines and I don't know, various products. They sell Earthfood in there. They get a wholesale price, and no one makes any markup on it, so there's no middleman. It's like wholesale. The products go to someone's house. They put them in the cardboard boxes. It's quite a big box. It's got a real, like, everything's fresh. Everything is local. Everything is, what's the word? You know, like seasonal. Like this season, we're getting this, this, and this. Next season, you'll get that, that, and that. Nothing is from imported. Everything. We have local butchers who will not have the NRMA injected beef, and it's their own beef that they've done it, so they actually know about it. And you know, the one I go to is an uncle and two sons, two brothers and an uncle, and you know, and they have their own cattle, and they have it so that it's NRMA free from the injections. They've and their grass, they use Earthfood on it because the grass has 40% more protein per blade of grass for the cattle, so they're really happy. We have some chickens sometimes, you know, that you know, have the produce that has gone past the use by date, like gone off, and the chickens eat that, but it's okay because that's all living food. And yeah, it just keeps going. It's just a world within a world that just keeps giving, and
hearing you.
I can't find anything better than that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
let's wind her up.
Yeah, it's been absolutely fantastic, and I love what you're doing, and I wish you all the success in the world, and we will do what we can to help you at grassroots level and upwards.
Yeah. And thank you both, and thank you everybody for listening to my very long talk. And appreciate you all. And yeah, share the Earthfood love, because that's what we're here for. Thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you everybody, and same time, same place next week. Thank you, Jeffrey.